People around the world, and especially now, I guess in Perth, are starting to realise how important it is to have creativity in their lives every day. And I think corporations, big companies, are realising that it's not only going to benefit their workers, but also just it's a good move to get artwork in their buildings, and I think that they realise that's what people need.
It's important to have art in public space, things that people can actually enjoy, and they get something from it that maybe it encourages them, maybe it brightens up their day, maybe it inspires and encourages people to have a go themselves. But it's an important aspect that we should try very hard to encourage, especially in the city.
I think the 140 project has definitely broadened the public's perspective on street art, and it helps to recognise graffiti and street art as an art form.
I think the definition of street art is just becoming more broad.
Traditional graffiti is pretty much where it started. It was originally like on the subways of New York and was always focused around the trains, and it is one of these subcultures that has now reached every corner of the globe. It's here to stay.
I think there is a lot of initiatives and probably other artists who've decided that they want to put their work on the street and they don't want to actually do graffiti.
10 years ago, even doing graffiti legally, people would walk past and be like, "What are you doing?" Or you'd have the cops called on you 5 times, or you'd have some old guy wanting to hit you with his walking stick.
I'm not really into the kind of, I'm going to enjoy looking at graffiti and a lot of the street art, but it's all a lot of kind of just perfect black outlines with perfect coloured fill-in, and that's kind of, I used to be a surfboard artist and it was a lot of doing a lot of that stuff, so now because I'm not working as a commercial artist anymore, I'm kind of free to do whatever I like.
Street art is now one of these hybrids. There's all these different offshoots with street art, which is becoming more and more popular, and people are using stencils, posters, all these different ways of getting your work into the eye of the public.
I've kind of just taken what I paint on canvas and blown it up and put it on buildings, so that, I guess, is, it's street art because it's on the street. I don't really feel like I have to change my aesthetic to fit in with a certain genre being street art.
All different sorts of artists are now enjoying and seeing how energetic this world is and actually how much fun it is too.
The majority of people, they're just fascinated by how it happens.
They've seen it around the place, around the city, on the train tracks, but when it actually comes to watching the process, they get quite mesmerised and drawn in.
I've had people who don't seem like they know anything about art watch me for 10 minutes and then go, "Oh, I've seen how you got that colour and you put that and then you did that," and they actually sort of work it out. So you never know, they could go and buy some spray cans and maybe do the same.
There's people here that are interested in supporting it and in getting quality work out there. People see it, and if anything, it sets a standard and inspires the next generation and keeps the ball rolling.
My style of graffiti is different. I've got, I guess, different styles depending on how I feel or how much time I have. I can do traditional style graffiti, which is like a 3-colour fade, and then I'll go into my more sort of 3D, sort of semi-real style pieces, which is sort of what I did for the 140 project. It's incorporating sort of my traditional graffiti style with 3D elements.
The way I work mostly, which is where I work standing up, I work really fast, make heaps of mess. It's not really planned out. Like sometimes I just grab whatever spray can is near to me or whatever pot of, I'll use like an old sticky thing of paint which has been sitting out. I work really erratically, but then also I do kind of these neat works. I did like a series of babies, which people seem to like.
I basically try and paint large works and quite colourful, quite bold. I have focused a lot on birds in the past and animals a lot, and also female faces a lot.
A lot of my stuff is nature-based. It ends up being painted quite abstract and has quite a multicultural feel to it.
The piece I painted on 140 was a piece incorporating the 140 colour palette. It's a traditional graffiti piece. It's got a lot of 3D elements. It's a bit wild, it's a bit unreadable.
I've done the 4 big budgies on the side of the aviary.
The work I've done at 140 has pretty much just focused on my signature style, and I've incorporated a swan, which is in there. and I figured that would sort of be relevant to Perth.
This was just a portrait of one of my mates who's a FIFO worker. The skulls next to it was kind of like, I just kind of did the portrait and I was left with this big blank white space and I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? One of the ideas I had was the Southern Cross as kind of skulls.
Artwork isn't much without the audience.
I've had a bit of attention. I've had a few just followers just pop by and say g'day. A couple of old ladies stopping and having a chat and just saying how it's wonderful, but they don't understand it. And educating them how to read it. And then they're actually like, wow, we can read it.
The public response is mental. Like, everybody's loving it. Everybody is saying this is what Perth needs.
Some people really kind, some people really liked it, other people told me it was disgusting and they hoped I wasn't getting paid for it.
It's nice when it's appreciated and you have people, whether it's younger graph kids coming up who respect you or you're an inspiration to them, to people who have never really paid much mind to it before and all of a sudden see things with new eyes and new light.
I think 140 have done an excellent job of activating the space. I think it's exactly what Perth needs and the scale of it is really important. I think it's courageous to do such a big project and I think that courage is what Perth needs.